So picture this. You've booked a taxi to take you to the airport. It's a big day. You're flying out for a make-or-break business meeting, the kind where you wear a shirt with actual buttons. You book the taxi for 6 a.m. because your flight's at 9 and you're a responsible adult who wants to be at the airport by 7:30, sipping overpriced coffee at the gate. You even confirm the taxi the night before just to be safe. Morning comes, 6 a.m. comes, no taxi. You check your phone, nothing. You call, voicemail. You wait a bit, you call again, still nothing. By now it's 6:40 and you're pacing up and down the street like a character in a rom-com who just got ghosted. Eventually you realize it's not coming. You've been stood up by a taxi. You miss your flight. The meeting. Also missed. Your boss? Not thrilled. In fact, they're so unimpressed they fire you. And to top it all off, your spouse has had enough. They're tired of your career instability and pack their bags. You're now jobless, heartbroken, and questioning all your life choices. Now the big question, can you sue the taxi company for all this mess? Let's break it down with two big legal ideas, causation and remoteness. Sounds dry, I know, but stick with me. This is where the law steps in and says, okay, that escalated quickly, but how much of that can we actually blame on the taxi? First up is causation, in fact. That's legal speak for, did A actually cause B? In other words, but for the taxi not showing up, would you have missed the flight? Well, no. If the taxi had arrived, you'd have been at the airport, boarding pass in hand. So yes, the missed flight was caused by the taxi's failure. The missed meeting, that happened because you missed the flight, losing your job because of the meeting. The marriage breakdown, maybe not directly caused by the taxi, but you could say it played a part. One thing leads to another, and suddenly you're shouting objection at your toaster. But here's the thing. Just because everything technically links together doesn't mean the law will let you claim for all of it. That's where remoteness comes in. This is the legal filter that stops people from suing over consequences that are just too far removed from what actually happened. The classic case here is Hadley v. Baxendale, where the court said you can only claim for losses that either naturally flow from the breach or were in the reasonable contemplation of both parties when the contract was made. So let's apply that to your sad taxi tale. Missing the flight? Totally recoverable. You told them you needed to get to the airport. Everyone knows if you don't get to the airport, you miss the plane. This is basic stuff. If they didn't know you had a flight, maybe it's debatable. But assuming you did tell them, that loss is fair game. The missed meeting is where things start to get wobbly. Unless you said, hey, this flight is for a huge business deal, the taxi company probably wasn't thinking about your corporate ladder ambitions. They just knew you needed a lift. The meeting doesn't arise naturally from the breach, and if it wasn't part of the conversation when the contract was made, it's likely too remote. Losing your job? Definitely remote. The taxi company isn't in charge of your HR file. They couldn't have expected their no-show would lead to your unemployment. Even if your boss said, one more mess up and you're done, the taxi people didn't know that. It's too many steps away. And the divorce? Look, we're sorry. But the courts are not about to pin the collapse of your marriage on a driver with a dodgy alarm clock. Relationships are complex. If we started awarding damages for romantic fallout every time someone missed a ride, there wouldn't be enough lawyers in the world. So where does that leave you? You've got a solid claim for the missed flight, maybe the ticket price, rebooking fees, and any other direct costs. But everything else, the law says no. The missed meeting, the job, the spouse, all just too remote. The law has to draw a line somewhere, and that line usually stops at what's predictable, not what's dramatic. This is why causation and remoteness matter. You can't claim for every domino that falls. Courts want fairness, not infinite liability. They ask, was the result foreseeable? Was it in everyone's minds when the deal was made? In the end, the taxi company might owe you a few £100, but they don't owe you a new job or a couple's counselor. So next time you miss a flight, you can blame the cab, but not for your whole life unraveling. Check out Dr. Yanis's channel for more.